Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel Nonstop Talking with your girl here, Vivian Liu. I wasn't planning on filming anything for I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. I thought my written review was quite good, but while discussing it with a friend, she encouraged me to film a review for it just because she thought I felt very emotional about the story. And here I am. This is for you, Jenny Cow. I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, also known as Let Me Eat Your Pancreas, is written by Yoru Shimino. The Japanese title is Kimi no Suizo o Tabetai. According to Wikipedia, the web novel was first released in 2014. It was then published in print as a light novel in the following year, 2015. A 2-volume manga was released from 2016 to 2017, and then that same year 2017 a live action also came out, and in 2018 was when the anime came out. From that, I think you could tell that this story has been consistently popular throughout the years. I personally wanted to read the manga, and I did buy a physical copy, but I accidentally bought the light novel, and I don't know, I didn't feel like reading the light novel. I really was insistent that I wanted to read the manga. Luckily, by that time, my library app had the manga available, which is how I read it. And the Japanese version is actually a two volumes, while the translated English version is just one complete set. So when I was debating which playlist to put this video in, I decided, well, the Japanese is actually 2 volumes, so I guess this can fit into series wrap-up. And that's why this is series wrap-up 10, I Want to Eat Your Pancreas by Yoru Shimino. Just to reiterate, I am only just talking about the manga, which is the only thing that I've seen read, and I am talking about the English translations in case there is any discrepancy between the original Japanese and the English translation. I will quickly read to you the Google synopsis. So the manga version of the coming-of-age tearjerker that inspired 2 films. This deeply moving first-person story is about a high school boy who finds the diary of his classmate and discovers that she's dying. Yamauchi Sakura has been silently suffering from a pancreatic disease in school, and now exactly one person outside her family knows. He swears her that he won't tell anyone what he learned, and the shared secret brings them closer together. The two have very little in common, but they find themselves drawn to each other in Sakura's final months to live. I think I gave this, yes I did. I gave this a 4.5 out of 5, which is super high. I wasn't expecting it. And honestly, while reading it, I wasn't expecting that I would rate it so high. I felt like, oh, I've seen this before. I've seen other Japanese versions of this before where girl who is sick and about to die falls in love with a healthy boy, and they somehow change each other's lives. I mean, there are multiple versions in different ways of this story, from like 1 liter of tears to even like A Walk to Remember. But something in this novel, or I read the manga, sorry, something in this manga happens, or something in this story happens that completely flipped what I thought was just a casual, what would you describe this genre? Like sick person, healthy person love story? Yeah, I felt like, okay, I've read this before. This is actually like pretty good, but it's like a little bit short. It could have been expanded more. There could have been more done here, could have been more done there. But yeah, something happens and I'm just like, oh snaps. This is actually just blew my mind away. Before I go into spoilers and reveal to you what it was that changed my opinion of this book and bumped it up to 4.5 in my opinion, let me just give you like an overall review of it. So I want to start off by telling you I did stumble upon this I think the first time at a bookstore and was really weirded out by the title. The title is I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, and then the cover is like a really cute like shoujo manga looking like cover, and I was just like, huh? Later on, I had a friend who watched the animated I think it's an animated movie. He watched the animated movie and actually really liked it and told me like, hey, you got it all wrong. The title, there's like a deeper meaning. It's kind of a joke. You should really give this a try. And so it's been on my radar, and hence why I bought the physical copy, which ended up being the light novel and not the manga. But yeah, so I did end up reading the manga, which is what I explained, and the story is quite fast-paced, but I think if you are like a typical manga reader, you know that manga, you can get through it pretty quickly. I like the art. I thought it was really beautiful. While Googling I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, I did see some images from the animated movie, and I personally think the art style for the manga is a little cuter, but I haven't seen the anime, so don't take what I'm saying too seriously. I wish there were more colored pages though. Anyways, I thought the characters were fantastic. But they were a little cookie cutter, I'll have to say that. However, what really I think won me over is just the terrific message and a solid theme. Overall, it was just such an emotional and sentimental coming of age tale, and I would recommend it. Now I am gonna go into spoilers, heavy spoilers, and talk about that key point that changed my mind about this story. So here goes. As readers going into this, we know that Sakura is gonna die. Like, there's just no doubt about it. Sakura is gonna die. She has pancreatic cancer, right? And we expect that sad ending. So with that in mind, I was just like, yeah, this is gonna get sad. This is gonna get sad. What I wasn't expecting was that our poor girl, Sakura, is just doing her best, living her best life. She's like, I'm not gonna let this sickness take me down. I'm gonna live like a normal teen for as long as I possibly can. She's optimistic, she's cheerful, she has such a positive and optimistic view towards living. And then when she is like, there's like a bout moment where she's like dipping and getting sick, and then she recovers, right? And that recovery period, she gets stabbed. She literally dies in a way that anyone could accidentally die. Walking on the street, she randomly gets picked by a serial killer and she gets stabbed to death. And that was when I was like, I did not predict this at all. Like, what did this story just do to me? Like, it just changed the game, because it really shows that the world is cruel. Fate is twisted. You can try as hard as you may and think you're gonna die one way, but screw you, you're gonna die another way. You're gonna die like any other human being could have potentially died. And I think just that, like, I was so shocked, and I felt that that was the main message. Like, it became the main message. Sometimes life just isn't fair. And I think that was my biggest takeaway from this novel, and I didn't expect that, and was just really blown away by its delivery. I think the main message of the story became, sometimes life just isn't fair. And I feel like at a certain point, everyone has learned this life lesson, and it's definitely a lesson that I've learned. And that's why when that happened, it really struck a chord with me, because I wasn't expecting it. She already has pancreatic cancer. She's gonna live a shorter life than others. She's going to die, but she's doing the best that she can with the cards that she's been dealt with, and she randomly gets offed. Sakura not dying from pancreatic cancer, but dying from a way that could happen to anyone on a normal day. They could be that random victim of the serial killer. Added layers to this story. And I personally am a firm believer of fate. And I do believe that Haruki and Sakura, somehow their stars aligned. And that's why they met. And I love that this story kind of gave off that feel. So I was like, oh, it's playing to like things that I like. And I don't know if other people were questioning this, but I was definitely wondering about it. Did Sakura die on the way to meeting Haruki? Is that like how, like, is that the path that she took to get the stabbage? I don't know. It doesn't really like explain it fully, but I felt like that's what happened. So like I said before, I felt like, oh, I've seen others and I've read other love stories where one person is healthy and one person is sick, and there's always like just that message. Because I was so expecting her to just die from pancreatic cancer, and him because of that like opening up, right? Because that was kind of his thing, was that like he was a shy loner type who didn't talk to anyone, and she was the extroverted cherry person who was like, I don't know why you have so much to live for and you're not living. And so how do I really fully explain this without someone to bounce off? This is actually kind of difficult. I think... Okay, so actually I did read in the comments someone saying that they didn't like this whole like extrovert save introvert storyline. I personally did not view it that way. Especially in the moments where like when he started opening up, his parents saw a difference, and it wasn't like, oh, he's just an introvert. He literally didn't talk to anyone at school, and then you find out he doesn't even talk to his own parents, and he's really just that like blocked off from life and world. So I didn't get the sense of it being like, oh, it's one of those extrovert saves introvert stories. I'm going on such a tangent. This was actually, I knew I like should not have filmed a review for this. Jenny, look what you've done. But I think that overall you kind of get what I am trying to express as to why this story shocked and wowed me in a way I wasn't expecting. Like I said earlier, just that shock of twist, and also just the message and how relatable it is to me personally is the reason why I decided to give this book such a high rating. Moving on, let's try to wrap this up and try to be coherent for these last final parts. There are gimmicky moments in this book, such as not revealing the male protagonist's name until he reaches his solo development. So it's not until the end that we find out his name is Haruki. And I may be interpreting it wrong, but I believe the different nicknames as explained in the quote is Haruki imagining what people think when they say his name. So this is also like a gimmicky move, but at first I thought it was just like gonna be one nickname for that entire time, but like the nickname actually changes here and there, and I thought that was kind of interesting, and it was like good food for thought. Furthermore, I actually really love that his name is like spring tree, springtime, which ties into her name Sakura, which is cherry blossoms. This is a little cheesy, yes I know, but I also found it really sweet. And I love the mentioning that like the times when he does review his name and the readers still don't know it yet, they mention that it's the name of a famous author, and I love that they're paying homage to that novelist because I also like a few of his books. Yes, I will admit that I did cry. I think one of the scenes that pushed me past that threshold was definitely Haruki's gut-wrenching breakdown. Like, he was utterly devastated, and I felt it in my heart and soul. And just the last message that Sakura and Haruki shared with each other, and their whole inside joke of, I want to eat your pancreas. I don't know, it was just, it hit a chord. It hit an emotional chord. That's all I can really explain it as. So I did have a few issues with the manga, but it's not like a huge deal. The only thing was that I did feel like it was a bit short. It felt underdeveloped in some points and certain aspects, and I also did not really like Sakura's friend. And I will say, like, the development part, it might be because I read the manga instead of the light novel. Like, maybe the light novel, the things that I felt were not yet thoroughly explained are probably thoroughly explained there. I don't know if at the end of the day this will make it to any of my favorites list by the end of the year. Reading it when I did at this point in my life, it definitely hit a chord. The shock of Sakura dying from being stabbed instead of dying from pancreatic cancer. It's also the fact that she had so much life and it was taken from her, but at the same time she can still say she lived life to her fullest. And it made me think, like, would I be able to say something like that? So I think at the moment of getting to that point, and at the moment of finishing the book, it really got me thinking, and it really was like, wow, that was just something I didn't see coming. And that's why I said, like, I really liked the message and the theme of this, or what my takeaway of the message and the theme of this. And in the end, I really enjoyed it, and I don't know how to properly explain this, and honestly I'm going to repeat this again. Look at what you've done, Jenny. I think it's harder sometimes to just review a book that made me so emotional without someone to bounce off so that I can articulate my thoughts better and really, like, hit the points. But I think you get me, and I'm just going to end it like this. 4.5, I want to eat your pancreas. That's that. Outro time. Like, comment, subscribe. See you in my next video, whenever that is. Bye!